Is Chloe friendly?
Yes, Chloe's friendly.
I really want to pet Chloe. I can't stand it anymore, and I think I should, at my age, do whatever I want.
This is the plaintiff, Rhonda Taylor. She says the defendant's vicious dog attacked her dog without any provocation. And now she has a mountain of vet bills to pay. That's right, the defendant was totally at fault. She didn't control her dangerous dog, and she's suing her here and now for the $10,000 she says she's owed. This is the defendant, Sandra. She says she feels awful about what happened to the plaintiff's dog, but she fails to mention this attack was all the plaintiff's fault. What the plaintiff didn't say was her dog was not on a leash. All of this could have been avoided if she followed the rules of owning a dog, and she's not giving this woman a penny more than she already has. She's accused of refusing to accept responsibility.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Taylor, you are suing Ms. Sandra for $10,000 in future vet bills, medical care, pain and suffering because of an attack that happened. Tell me what happened.
Yes, my daughter and I were taking groceries out of the car. My daughter we had already placed the groceries inside a pulley. My daughter once she pulled the car up, she had taken Chloe and put her down.
What kind of dog is Chloe?
Chloe is a teacup Yorkshire. She's 11 and a half years old.
She's adorable.
Thank you, Carol.
Your daughter, how old is your daughter?
My daughter is 34.
Okay, and so your daughter had taken
My
Chloe?
daughter, yes, because usually, when we're in a car, she usually have that little seatbelt thing. So she had taken her out once we were done, and she came around. But before that, we pulled out all the groceries, put it into the pulley.
Who's we? Who got out of the car?
I got out of the car, and my grandson got out of the car.
How old is he?
He's 9 years old.
Okay, so then what happened?
And so after we got all the groceries out. Now my daughter, she came around the car and placed Chloe down and said, "Here, put Chloe's leash on." And Chloe is standing right here, like at my feet.
On the ground.
So on the ground. So when I went to reach down to get Chloe to put her leash, Miss Jules, the defendant's sister, came up. She walked up with two dogs while I was bending down. I was like, wait, because the dog, she walked up on me. And so I said...
What do you mean she walked up on you? What does that mean? You're on the sidewalk, right?
Yeah, so what I mean is, like, she was coming from down the street, and when she went to turn, she was coming up on me while I was bending down.
Okay, so your daughter puts Chloe on the ground. That's the moment I want to talk about now.
Okay, so...
Your daughter puts Chloe on the ground. At this point, doesn't your daughter see that there's two dogs coming?
No, because she's getting into the car. So I reached down and I was going to put the leash on to Chloe because she had a harness. But while I was down, that's when the defendant's sister had walked up with her two dogs. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, is your dog friendly? She said, and that was the brown lab. She said, yes, he is. And
wait, when you say that was the brown lab,
right, because it was two dogs.
Right. So when you say, is your dog friendly, why are you referring to the brown lab?
Because that was the one who actually walked and approached my dog. That's why I'm saying that. Because the other dog pretty much stayed back and that dog walked up. So she said yes. So at this point, I didn't have the leash on. I said, yeah, because I was about to. So they, greeted each other and it was fine.
Wait, I'm sorry. You're supposedly leaning down like you're doing in my courtroom to put the leash on her.
Right.
And then you decide not to because the dogs are being friendly?
It wasn't a decision to decide not to. It happened so fast, I didn't get a chance to because she
But you're right there, and the dogs are coming. Why don't you just scoop she's basically a telephone. Why don't you just scoop her up?
That's right. I could have scooped her up. But at that moment, it was so quick. I had
so what happens?
I was trying to protect her.
What happened?
So they greeted, and then we were
they greeted. How did they greet?
They just came up. He came up to just kind of like sniff her,
Right. How long were they sniffing each other?
Just like a second or two, really quick.
Right.
And
How long does it take to put on a leash or pick up the dog?
It doesn't take that long to put
No,
on a
it
leash
doesn't.
either.
So what really happens is two dog owners think, it looks like a good idea. Let's let them sniff each other. And then it went bad. But their dog is on a leash and yours isn't.
Right, my dog was not on the
Okay,
leash.
so then
at
what
the moment.
happens?
So when we were I'm going to pick her up. We were getting ready to go. Her other dog just barked, caused the lab to bark. My dog barked. When my dog barked, the corgi actually snatched my dog by the head, and then the defendant's sister just started swinging the dog around, and I told her, don't do that. You're going to cause more damage to my dog. So then that's when I was able to pry the dog, my dog's head out of her dog's mouth, and blood was skirting everywhere. And then I decided my grandchildren were screaming and everything. And then that's when I had to, my daughter had gotten all the information and stuff from her. And she had given and said she's very sorry that her sister would be responsible. And so she got the information, and that's when we took her to the other vet, the local vet that happened to be open. And he serviced us and told us he couldn't do too much, after he said I have to go to a vet hospital.
Because the vet who was closing but looked at Chloe said, this jaw's broken, you need to go to a hospital.
He was actually closed.
Right.
He said he had been to just be coming in to get something. And so when he noticed us, in the condition, he said that he would service us. But
Okay, so you brought Chloe to a hospital, and what did they end up doing for Chloe?
When I brought Chloe to the hospital, they ended up doing, gave her the search to see, examined her to see exactly what the extent of the injuries were and stuff. And they told me that her jaw is broken, and she had some brain damage or something. They gave her some kind of solution so that it wouldn't have
Is
some
Chloe
swelling.
friendly?
Yes, Chloe's friendly.
I really want to pet Chloe. I can't stand it
Okay.
anymore, and I think I should, at my
big deal.
age, do whatever I want. Go ahead, go on.
Yes, so I had to wait. They told me once I walked in that I needed to wait for their call to tell me exactly what was going to actually, take place and stuff. So I need to wait.
In the end,
and then
she
called me.
But what is it that they ended up doing to Chloe?
Yeah, they ended up giving her the surgery. They repaired her jaw. She had a left forebrain lesion. They had to give me medication. I had to take her back to the hospital, actually to the vet for that, because when we got home, she had became paralyzed, and she was she
What do
wasn't
you
able
mean
to
she
walk.
became paralyzed?
When I came home, when we were discharged from the hospital on the 13th, one day when I was walking her, we just take her downstairs, let her urine or go to the bathroom, they said, bring her back. She couldn't, we turned the corner and she couldn't walk. She just collapsed. And when she collapsed, I was like, come on, I was like, are you okay? I didn't know what was going on. And so then I had to pick her up, just, to help her, because she was just dragging. She just couldn't.
In the initial hospital visit, it was how much?
At the end, when we was discharged, it came up to like $7,300 and change, the initial bill. So it was
How much of that? At some point, you communicate with with Ms. Sandra, who wasn't walking the dog because her sister was walking the dog.
Yeah.
And she's very apologetic, and she applies for a credit card. And she pays how much of that vet bill?
Yes, Miss Sandra paid $5,400.
$5,400 or 56?
54.
54? Okay.
Yes. She got
But your dog has had medical bills of how much? According to you, there's a future $4,500 and what?
Yes, it's a future bill, and as I put it,
For
it's
what,
an estimate. They said it's for dental, neurological, and for ophthalmology. For her eye, because she's from the left forebrain region, the bite from the head and stuff, she has not been able to see properly.
Let me hear from, what's the sister's name?
Jules.
Jules. Ms. Jules, you were the one walking the dogs. Do you often walk the dogs?
Yes.
What happened that day?
Very much different what the account from Miss Rhodes was. What happened was I was taking the two dogs out. I have a chocolate lab and the corgi. They walked to my right. I've shared documentation, visuals to show the map, if you want to share that.
I actually just want to hear what happened.
Sure. So I'm walking up the hill. She's on this corner. I'm walking up this hill. Take a left. My dogs usually are about a 4-foot distance from me with the leash on, with the two. Her dog, Funny, the corgi, is in the inside because he's a smaller dog.
Okay.
My dog's on the outer side. We take a left to that corner, and complete blind spot there because there's some bricks. And from my experience of it, I walked directly into Mrs. Rhodes that was sitting on this a brick-like a thing here. It's like decorative on buildings. I don't know what you call it, like a stoop of sort that goes around the building. She was sitting there, and
So what does sitting there mean? Like completely sitting there,
Yeah.
or leaning on it, or?
sitting, I believe.
Okay.
But all that I know is from that left, which is the blind corner, I immediately walked into, out of nowhere, a situation, out of nowhere, within like 5 seconds to 6 seconds, and the dog approached our dog, out of nowhere. And then...
Okay,
the
so hold on.
instant-
When you turn the corner, according to you, you see her sitting?
All I see, because she was in that location, I did not actually see. All I see is nothing other than 2 dogs.
Okay, so then how do you see her sitting beforehand?
I'm going to take that back. I don't actually know she was sitting beforehand. All I know is
Okay,
we
so
walked
all you
into that
know
corner.
is you turned the corner and mayhem.
Mayhem, directly
So
into the
mayhem
landmine.
is almost on the corner, you're saying then?
Yeah. And I
Okay.
walk right into it, and since my dogs are going this way, and I feel this person here and a dog here, who I believe was on the ground and came towards Funny.
How do you know that her dog came towards the
Our
corgi?
dog, Funny doesn't go up to other dogs. We don't go up to dogs. We don't go up and ask people, is your dog friendly? Because we don't let our dogs near other dogs. Before this incident, we live in New York City. In New York City, dogs can be friendly but bark, and you don't know. So-
I have a news
I
flash
know.
for you,
I know.
Miss New Yorker, view of the world. Do you remember that poster where it's Manhattan and then there's like the rest of the world? It's exactly like that everywhere because they're
Yeah.
animals. So I have always marveled because all I see is the bad stuff. I don't see where, they smell each other and everything is good. I only see, the stuff that's in front of me is when it goes
But
bad. But
I'm
go ahead.
proactive.
No, I understand
I'm a
what you're saying.
defensive walker. I look 5 cars ahead of me at all times and left and right at all times before this incident because we live in New York. So
Well,
there
you're
was
turning a blind corner and you
and
don't
a
know
blind
what's on the
corner.
other
And
side, so
that's
I don't know
my
why you're
point.
saying that. But
It was a blind corner. I couldn't see it. I walked into a landmine. All I could do was react, and there was no swinging of a dog. We both pulled our dogs apart. I wasn't swinging her head and stuff like that. But
so did she ever? She testifies that. Wait a second, I haven't asked my question. She testifies that she asked you, the Inspector Clouseau question? Does your dog
Absolutely
bite?
not.
Is your dog friendly? According to you, none of that happens.
Absolutely none of that happened.
Okay.
None of it.
So when did you realize that dog wasn't on a leash?
When I saw from the pictures that I asked to take the pictures, I was the one that initiated, let's take pictures of the scene of the incident, so we all have visuals after the fact. And we're looking at these photos, and there's no leash on this dog at any point.
You had said that there was a picture you wanted me to see. Is this it? Is this
The
what you're
map I
referring
did
to?
with that's a good one, and there's the actual visual, the photo one. There's a photography of
Okay,
it.
1A human. What human is
So
that?
that would be the plaintiff, and then her dog. See how there's that brown?
Okay,
That's like a
1B
brick.
would be the dog. So you're where the trees are in the bottom,
Yeah,
and then you're making your left.
Yeah, and the proportions aren't exact, but obviously I'd be behind them. And then my chocolate lab is 2B, and 2C is the corgi. So, woof, right.
Way to
next it.
complicate something. Okay, hold on one second.
See how there's that brick?
Yeah.
I just walked into a woman.
Was
sitting
there like groceries and a trolley and all this other stuff? Nowhere were there groceries, a trolley, or anything else. She's just sitting there with her dog unleashed, and this stuff happens. All right, let me see, because people were taking pictures.
There was also 2 boys there, not 1.
Okay.
That's my chocolate lab. That's her walking her dog last week.
That's her walking her dog when?
Last week.
Off a leash?
No, she's on leash. She's on leash. I'm just showing you she's walking around all healthy.
Okay.
She's always.
That's the dog.
That's the dog.
That's the corgi. Nature's mistake. Where are the legs? Okay.
That's Christmas
There's
outfit.
an overhead shot of the dog without a leash on. It's just the harness.
Is this
Not
what you're
that-
referring
Yeah.
to?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
No
you can
leash.
see the hook on there, and there's no leash on
Yeah.
the dog.
Yeah. Okay, so you give her your sister's number.
Immediately, I was horrified.
Okay. And she calls you,
So
and you're horrified.
I'm in a car on the way home from the airport and absolutely mortified. I have had dogs my whole life. I actually have 3 dogs. One of them is an AKC championship dog, and the other one is my daughter's emotional support dog that I have trained. So I have trained dogs my entire life. And Funny is 8 years old.
That's the corgi.
Yes, sorry for
That's
the name. But he has never had an incident like this with other dogs in the house or outside of the house. But then again, even with my spazzy English Cocker Spaniel who will just kiss anyone to death would never go up to another animal because you don't know what that animal is like. So I'm in the car and I'm texting, I believe, with Rhonda, from what I remember. I will take care of this. Just take the dog to the animal hospital. So what she's telling you is she went to the vet and they referred her to Verge, which is the animal hospital, and they told me that the estimate was going to be somewhere between $5,400 and $6,700. I said, I'm a freelancer. I'm not working right now. I don't have this kind of money. I'm a single mother of 2 children, one of which is in college. And she said, I don't have the money either. I said, let me do what I can. So I called them, and they said, you can apply for scratch pay. Scratch pay is for this exact type of thing. So I applied. They give me a line of credit of $5,400. It gets paid to them. You have that paid invoice that shows that $5,400. In the meantime, my sister tells me the dog was not on a leash. So
Wait, when you say in the meantime, did your sister tell you that at the beginning?
No. So I was mad at her.
Wait. So is it? So you learned this after you paid the $5,400?
$5,400.
Oh, I'd like to be a fly on the wall in that conversation.
We felt horrible. We know that this is the
Right,
responsibility.
but you would have handled it differently had you known the dog wasn't on a leash. You could feel as bad as you want, but
Yes.
would you have paid if the...
I still would have paid something because my dog hurt her dog.
Right.
And I
know that.
feel for the dog. I feel
Yeah.
for her. I feel for her grandchildren who had to see this incident.
Yeah, that's
because the aftershots to the pictures were terrible. And I can only imagine. But you saw the corgi, how little his mouth is, and this is a
No.
teacup.
There's a
So-
lot of damage to this dog because, unfortunately, how little the mouth is, and what I was referring to were the legs because they're just non-existent in a corgi.
The dog
But
is
how
even
it's like a
small.
worm. But this dog is even smaller. This dog is a piece of candy. It's a
Yes,
chew toy.
I know.
And they're animals, folks. That's why your animal should not be on the street without a leash. But here's what bothers me is this. Like you're also supposed to be in complete control of the dog. And that means complete control. That doesn't mean the dogs turn a corner and you have no idea what's happening and come upon it. You're supposed to be in control. But let me ask you something. What responsibility do you think you have in any of these bills? Because she has already paid more than half, okay? And arguably, it's entirely your fault because your dog was off leash. Arguably, it's both of your faults because she's not in control if she doesn't see what's happening before it happens. But in a best case scenario to you, with your dog off leash, it's either totally your fault or it's partially your fault. So at worst, you'd be half and half responsible. But in your world, you think she's 100% responsible. How do you figure when your dog's off leash?
Well, because I know that I am responsible for something, but the fact that my dog was off the leash and because the way we were coming, getting out the car and I was going to put her on it. So, yeah, I understand what you're saying. But with all of these particular bills and, my life being simple and her dog actually caused it and the way she explained, it didn't actually happen like that. And I know you have to have all the
here your
evidence
word
and
against hers
everything.
about how it happened.
Right.
Are there any other witnesses that would like to testify? Because I don't see them unless you have them in your pocket.
because it was just
So it's
us.
your word against hers, and I know she's paid more than half of the bills that you're suing for already. And you've admitted that your dog was off leash.
Yes.
So let's assume that sister is a liar and it's entirely the way you say. Then, according to you, not only is your dog off leash, but you have time to chit chat. And you have time to say, is your dog friendly? And then the lab has time to smell, the front and the back of your dog. And all that's happening and isn't that glorious? And still the leash is not on. Even in your scenario, in the best case scenario, you would have responsibility here. So I am not going to order her to pay any more than she has already paid. My verdict in this case is for the defendant.
So the defendant prevails. She's already given the plaintiff over $5,000. She does not have to give her any more money. Let's see what the plaintiff has to say about that. Ms. Taylor, what are your thoughts?
I feel like she still should be responsible. They know the truth, and them two together, it's like a tag team to be able to get this story and everything. But I'm really upset with this ruling.
Well, I certainly understand. I'm so sorry for you. All we can do is say good luck, and I certainly
Thank
hope
you
your puppy
kindly.
does better.
Yes,
Okay?
thank you. Have a
I'm
nice
really
day.
sorry.
Okay.
All right, so the defendant does not have to give any more money to the plaintiff. Let's see what Sandra has to say about it. Sandra, I know you're sorry for her, but I'm sure you feel relieved, right?
Oh, yeah, we feel terribly sorry about what happened to the dog. And, you know, I even called several times to the vet to make sure that the dog was doing okay, but they couldn't give us any information. All that was expected of me was pay the money. And we haven't seen Rhonda. We haven't heard from her to know how Chloe was doing. So I'm glad that she's alive. I'm sorry for any damage that's been done to her, but she was not on a leash, and her story doesn't really jive with what my sister says is the truth. So I feel like I've given as much as I can.
All right. Well, you certainly did give a substantial amount of money, so
Yes.
no question about that. All right, listen, thank you very much. You're off the hook for any more, okay?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good day.
You're very welcome. Okay. Harvey, your thoughts.
So, Doug, this is a case of comparative negligence, and that is key. Most states, I think only 4 states have a different system, but comparative negligence means that both parties can be somewhat at fault, and then you have to look at the percentage of fault on each side and what the damages were, and then you only give the damages based on the percentage of fault by the other party. If that makes sense, I hope it does.
What is the first thing you would buy if you won $1 billion lottery jackpot?
Okay.
It's a long catalog, I know.
It's
right?
no.
Yeah.
I want to say a really altruistic answer, like a car for everyone I've ever worked
World
with.
peace.
You know. But all right. So what would I buy for myself? I think I would buy an airplane because I find air travel so difficult.
Oh my God, how decadent of you.
Yeah.
An airplane.
An airplane. Well, it's $1 billion. I can afford an airplane.
It'd be a drop in the bucket with
Yeah.
$1 billion, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
What about you?
Well, I think the first thing I would do to right a wrong from my childhood would be to get that Crayola box with 64 crayons and the sharpener in it, right? Because I always had the crappy little 8 crayon thing or the not really Crayola thing from Kmart that wasn't really quite Crayola and maybe had a few crayons. But these other kids would come into school and they had the big box and
With the
flip top.
built-in sharpener.
Yeah, 64 colors.
God, even my mom bought me
Or
that.
a dozen red. I didn't get anything like that. But after I got the Crayola crayon box, maybe a 1961 Ferrari GT250 short wheelbase, something like vintage sports car.
This is the plaintiff, Leon Hines. He says the defendant is his ex-girlfriend of 4 years, and they lived together. When they split up, things got pretty nasty between them. She threw out a lot of his expensive stuff, like his PlayStation, his clothes, and she can't be allowed to get away with her outrageous behavior. He's suing for $2,433.65, the amount he's owed. This is the defendant, Crystal Ann Johnson. She says the plaintiff was a freeloader who never paid a penny of her rent, even though he lived with her. The guy was physically abusive. She had to go to the hospital because he injured her, and she tossed his stuff out because she couldn't stand the sight of his things in her house any longer. Bottom line, he owes her more than his junk is worth, and she's not paying. She's accused of tossing it all away.
All parties, please use your right hands. Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff says his ex-girlfriend, the defendant, threw away, trashed his PlayStation and clothes, and he wants money. Now, the defendant says that the guy was a freeloader who never paid his rent. He became physically abusive, and she owes him nothing. It's the case of it's all fun and games till someone gets trashed.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Hines. You are suing your former girlfriend, Ms. Johnson, for almost $2,500 in items that she threw out that belonged to you, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Tell me what happened between you two.
For a short period of time, things got out of hand.
How long did you date?
We was dating for 4 years. In the beginning, everything was all smooth and everything.
It always is.
Then everything just went left and went downhill. I mean, I played a part in somewhat of me hitting her, but as far as things getting thrown away, she didn't have to do that.
Did you have to hit her?
I didn't have to hit her neither,
Oh.
and I take responsibilities for that.
How did
But
you take responsibility? Were you ever prosecuted?
I've been arrested for putting my hands on her.
What ended up happening with those arrests?
Like, I went to court over and over.
And did anything ever happen?
The case got thrown out.
Because what? Because you didn't show up?
No, I was never asked to show up.
Okay. When did you guys break up?
We broke up not too long ago.
What month did you guys break up?
Like in like September. Yeah.
And when you broke up, did you move out?
I've been moved out.
Just answer my questions.
Yes,
did you
I have.
move out? Yeah. All right. So the stuff that she threw out when?
I don't know when she threw out. She just told me she threw all my belongings away.
When did she tell you that?
She texted me. I can't remember when.
When did you text him that?
After he blacked my eye.
After he what?
Blacked my eye, which was maybe the end of November.
He gave you a black eye in the end of November?
Yes.
Okay, what happened?
He came to my house to retrieve his mail, and I told him, give me a second. I had just came in from the supermarket. He didn't want to wait, so he just walked into my house. We started arguing back and forth. I asked him to just wait a second. I would go upstairs and get it. As I was talking to my kids, I turned around, he punched me in my face.
Like,
in front of
you
your
didn't say
kids?
nothing to
And
me.
my grandmother.
And your grandmother?
Yes. My grandmother got in between, told him to stop. I went and got his mail. Then he went about his day.
And you threw my mail in my face.
Why
like
was
I'm a
your
dog.
stuff still there in November if you guys had split up in September?
Can you listen to me? I've been
Yeah,
trying
no,
to.
no, I am listening to you.
I've been
And I'm
trying to-
asking you the question, why is your stuff still there in
And
November
I've
if
been-
you split up in September?
I've been trying to get my things from her ever since I left, and she been beating around the bush telling me, "Oh, come this day, come that day." Like I don't have.
I'm
the
sorry, you're
storage.
there for your mail. Why aren't you there with a truck to get your stuff out in September when you guys break up like other people?
You still not getting me.
No, I'm not getting you.
I've been trying to get somebody go with me to get my belongings.
Yeah.
I just can't go by myself and be like, you know what, give me my things.
Yeah, people move every day. That happens. So why is it that in September, all of October, and November, you still haven't gotten that done? Why was his stuff still there?
Because he never came to get it.
I asked you to give me my stuff, so you can't stand there and lie like that.
I don't understand, though. Like, everybody else manages to figure out how to get rid of his stuff or to him to get rid of the stuff, or why was it that his stuff wasn't out of there?
Because I hadn't thrown it away yet.
That's really it. That is the answer, that she hadn't thrown it away yet, because another woman would have thrown it away. So did you ever ask him, hey, when are you going to get your stuff? Did that ever come up?
Yeah, I told him multiple times he could come get his stuff.
No, did you? Okay, so are there ever any texts between the two of you about picking up the stuff? Because I read the text and I didn't see that.
No.
Okay. Do you say that there are any texts where you say to her, I'd like to pick up my stuff, and she deprives you of the opportunity?
To be honest, I haven't texted her, but I've been calling her, reaching out.
Okay,
wanting
so
my
there's no
things.
proof then that you tried to pick it up before now and she wouldn't let you. In
No,
fact,
it's not.
what I do see are texts between you and what family members of yours is that?
My mother and my aunt.
And what did you, Your Honor, she over here bashed me, telling me to tell my mother to, like, my mother is dead and gone. I don't play about my mother. Like,
Okay, I'm
don't.
sorry. The only time I saw
But-
that phrase used was in your text to her mother.
And she said, because she said it to me at first. So I said it back to her mother. Like, you're not going to disrespect me and think I'm not going to disrespect your whole family.
I'm sorry, did her mother disrespect you?
It doesn't matter. It's her daughter. Her daughter has a dirty mouth. But yeah, I'm always the one getting arrested, getting in trouble for things that I did, and I could be held accountable, but she can't.
How were you ever held accountable? Were you ever convicted on any of the cases that you were arrested on? How
I've
many
been
times
arrested-
was he arrested for domestic violence while with you?
Maybe 6 times.
And how is it you can't figure out how to speak to a prosecutor, go to court, and get him convicted?
I was never asked to go to court.
Okay,
to
but
make a
listen,
statement.
I was a domestic violence judge. I know how this goes down. How it goes down is you guys stay together, and then you just don't answer the phone calls. And then that's why it ends up getting dropped. You know it, I know it, he knows it. Everybody knows it, okay? So, you know, with all due respect, don't tell me it's the prosecutor's fault for not notifying you 6 times, because I'm not going to buy that. They may mess up. I work for a prosecutor's office. I know people can make mistakes, not 6 times. 6 times prosecutors didn't fail to notify you to come to court. Okay, that didn't happen. So he gives you, how did the black eye happen? Tell me what happens. You told me in front of your children and in front of you, who else was there?
My grandmother.
He punches you.
He punched me, and over a few days, my eye was swollen, and then it became black.
Ugh. What happened with this case? Did the police arrest him on this case?
No,
Did you call the police?
I didn't call the police that day.
Okay. He's suing you for a PlayStation games, PlayStation accessories. I don't see why you don't take those with you when you leave. I mean, polo sweatsuit and Ralph Lauren clothing, T-shirts, boxer shorts, storage containers, bracelets, a Zales ring. What's that about?
I was gonna ask her to marry me. It was an engagement ring that I bought. I left it there. It got thrown away. Now she talking about she can't find none of my jewelry.
2 iPads, black Ugg slippers, and a loan, and a partridge in a pear tree. The 2 iPads are what?
One was a gift for my birthday.
I'm going to tell you for the last time, please stop screaming out whatever you feel at a moment. You're in court. Go ahead.
One was a gift for my birthday, and the second one we made up, and I agreed to pay for the iPad. That's what we had an argument about. And he says, black slippers, you said?
No.
My
so
slippers.
I'm not talking to you. I am talking to you.
God.
The 2, what did you say? What'd you say?
I didn't say nothing.
I didn't think so. The 2 iPads, one was a gift and the other one was a what? He bought it for you and you're supposed to pay him back? Is that what you were saying?
He bought it for me, and I was supposed to pay the monthly fees.
And did you pay the monthly fees?
No.
Okay. And that one, why is it, do you have the evidence of $139?
Yes, I have the evidence.
I haven't asked my question. How dumb could you be that you think that's helpful to your case?
And how helpful is it that you asking her questions about something that I still making payments on, that I want back?
Okay, I'm trying to ask you to show me the proof of the payment so that you can be awarded it, and you're tisking and shaking your head at me. Do you think that that is helping your case, the way you're behaving?
Here you go.
You can't even control your anger in a courtroom with a judge. I can imagine the peach you are in a relationship. Well, I don't have to imagine it, I can see it.
Like she's never held accountable for her actions. They're not always gonna consider me a bad guy.
I can't imagine why. So you're suing for $139.05 for 2 iPads?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Black Ugg slippers.
Yeah, I have those.
You have those?
After she lied to she threw it out.
And what about the other stuff, like the Zales ring, the bracelets, the storage containers, the boxer shorts, the T-shirts? What ended up happening with all that
All
stuff?
of that stuff went to the garbage.
You threw everything else in the garbage?
Yes.
You kept the black Ugg slippers?
Yes.
Okay, how come?
Because I was wearing them. He gave them to me.
And then what's this about loans? Do you owe him any money?
Yeah, he did recently lend me money.
Okay, how much money did he loan you?
I'm not too sure the exact amount, but maybe like a little over $100.
He says it's $120.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And so do you owe him that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And as far as the other stuff is concerned, I presume that your defense is that he abandoned it because he left in September and he should have taken his stuff with him.
His clothing, yes.
So do you ever tell him, hey, I'm putting all your stuff outside? Or no, you were mad that he punched you in the eye?
I did tell him I was throwing his things away.
Oh, yeah, but did you tell him, come get your stuff, it's on the corner, or you didn't want him coming back to your house?
No, I didn't want him to come back to
Right.
the house.
Okay. How many times did he come to your house between September and November?
Maybe 4 times.
And on any of those times, did he ask for his stuff or take any of his stuff?
No.
I see in the text back and forth that he's asking for his W-2. Tell me, where's his W-2? Why didn't you just change your address, Mr. Hines, so the W-2 would go to your new address?
The thing is, only one W-2 came to her, and the other one I got from my job.
Right, but the W-2 that goes to her, you know, it's from a job, so why didn't you just change your address with the job so it would go to you, I'm asking?
Because I didn't have time. I'm too busy working.
Okay. So do you have one of his W-2s?
No, all his stuff was returned to sender.
Return to sender. So you would just, when things were addressed to him, you'd say return to sender.
I would give it back to the mail person.
Okay.
She's lying. Here we go.
Well, it doesn't matter. You can get the W-2 from your employer again. That's not even a big deal. Okay, well, she's admitted the $120, and so I'm going to order her to pay that back. We're going to make arrangements for you to get your black Ugg slippers back that do not involve him coming to where you are. And regarding the iPads, you're suing for $139.05 for 2 iPads, and one of them was a gift. Everybody acknowledges that, and one of them was not, so I'm going to order her to pay you $69.52, which is half of the 2 iPad amount. And that totals $189.52. And that is my verdict. Verdict for the plaintiff for $189.52. Because as far as I am concerned, the other $2,000-something worth of stuff is stuff that you should have taken with you at some point between September and November.
And you're not letting me
she's got it, because she can't just throw your stuff out in September because you don't pick it up right away, because a person needs a chance to organize themselves and get a truck and somebody to help you and all that. So she would never, the law would never allow her to just throw out all your stuff in September. It would make her keep it a reasonable time. Courts have found that a reasonable time is at most 30 days. You, September, October, November, and then you punch her out in front of her kids and her grandmother in November. Yeah, no, that's abandoned. $189.52, that you do have to pay.
So the plaintiff gets a small fraction of what he was suing for, but he's probably lucky to get that. The defendant is on her way out of the courtroom. Ms. Johnson, I would assume you're glad this is all over. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm glad. I just don't want to deal with him anymore.
I can appreciate that. Have you learned anything from this whole experience?
Yeah, know a person before you date him.
Yeah. You gave him a lot of chances, though.
Too many.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, good enough. Thank you very much. And it looks like the plaintiff has flown the coop, and he is not here. So I can understand that. And that'll wrap it up for this case then. Harvey, what are your thoughts? How about it?
Okay, Doug, this case involves abandonment. Now, abandonment is a legal point that varies not only from state to state, in some cases from city to city. What you should do if this is an issue for you and you're in some dispute, go online, type in your city and the word abandonment, and look for the law that governs. These laws do vary, and it's important to know what law governs you.
I went to a pet store to buy a male guinea pig because I already had a male at home, and I don't want guinea pig babies. They sold me a male guinea pig. A few months later, I have baby guinea pigs because apparently what they sold me was a female, and that second guinea pig got pregnant.
So the question is, can you get your money back for the guinea pig?
Well, I guess if what you were supposed to buy was a male and what they sold you was a female, yes,
Right.
You may have to give back the guinea pig.
Absolutely, you can get the cost of the guinea pig back.
And probably return the guinea pig.
But the more complicated question is the paternity lawsuit on behalf of the new guiney pigs that you have to support.
You don't have to support. Give away the guinea pigs.
Yes, you do. Come on. What kind of human being are you?
Give away the guinea pigs.
You don't flush them.
Okay, don't flush them. That was a joke.
But you do have to support those guinea pigs.
You don't. Give them away. Give them away.
You know, you have their college plan. You have to take care of them. So, potentially, could you
I actually did have it. Do you remember when I had this case in Coral Gables? I had
it was parrots.
Parrots.
I do remember when you were in county court as a judge.
That's right. And the guy had bought these 2 parrots. One was a male and one was a female, and he wanted the 2 parrots because he wanted them to mate and he wanted to breed them. And the people who sold it to him said one is a male with it. They've had plenty of babies, and then it turns out one of them was a hermaphrodite parrot, and they had never. Hermaphrodites can't get, and they had never had a baby, and so they were lying, and they were suing for the cost of the parrots, which they got.
How do you sex a parrot? How do you?
Apparently, it isn't easy. You gotta get in there.
Make them hold still.
You gotta get in there. It's not like you look and you're done. You don't lift a feather and check. It's not like that.
It's a little more complicated.
Yeah, it's inside.
Expert stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, we are out of time. Before we go, you can check out our podcast. You can check out our YouTube channel. You just can't get enough court these days. That's the way I see it. We'll see you next time.